Revealed, the touching journey of a 12-year-old homeless piano prodigy who changed everything. In the chaotic streets of Chicago, amidst the cries of sirens and the shuffle of hurried feet, a story unfolds that will break your heart and ignite a flame of hope. Meet Leo, a 12-year-old boy once cradled in the warmth of his family's love, now a ghost drifting through the city, left behind by the very people meant to hold him close. Abandoned, he finds solace in a makeshift shelter with others marked by life's harsh realities, his spirit tethered to the whispers of laughter shared over scraps of food, but it's not all despair. Every day, Leo makes his way to a community center, where an old, battered piano stands like an oasis of dreams. The keys, worn and chipped, pulse with a life of their own as he plays, each note echoing his sorrows, fears, and aspirations. The melodies soar, wrapping around him like a soft blanket against the chill of city life. In those moments, Leo finds himself again, he pulses with life. And yet, his extraordinary talent goes unnoticed in a world that often overlooks the unpolished brilliance of the homeless. Leo dreams of attending a prestigious music school, a place where notes dance with possibility. Mr. Jenkins, an old veteran of life's many battles, sees through Leo's dirty exterior and into the brilliance that lies within. He pushes Leo to work harder, to harness his raw talent. Together, they create a bond steeped in resilience, as Leo learns that dreams require grit and belief. Every piano lesson feels like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters, pulling Leo closer to his dreams. As Leo's confidence grows, so does his loyalty to his newfound family. Their shared struggles and moments of laughter provide him with comfort, even as ambition festers quietly beneath the surface. Should he chase the golden ring of opportunity at the risk of leaving them behind? It pulls at his heartstrings, and the tug-of-war between dreams and duty becomes increasingly painful. Then, without warning, a torrential storm sweeps through Chicago. Rain pours down like the city is crying, and Leo's temporary family is tossed around by a health emergency that thrusts them into crisis. This is the moment that shatters his world. Days slip through his fingers, and his chance to audition for the music school is lost, washed away like footprints in the sand. Despair floods him, and chaos churns within. In the blink of an eye, he faces an awakening, a reckoning of his worth as a musician obscured by a cloak of homelessness. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With invisible wounds screaming for attention, Leo rises from the ashes of disappointment. He sets up a spontaneous concert on the bustling streets, hoping the music can reach far beyond his own sorrows. As he slips his fingers onto the worn keys, a wave of sound surges through him, weaving in and out of the lives of passers-by, awakening emotions long buried. The crowd, once indifferent, starts to gather, pulling together like the strings of a tightly knit family, marveling at the boy who spills his heart out in every note. Just as the final chord rings out, their essay flicker in the air, a promise of recognition dawning on the horizon. Yet, as eyes turn toward him, Leo stands on the precipice of something greater, something daunting. Will he harness this attention to change himself and lift his family out of the shadows, or will the weight of society's judgments drag them all back into anonymity? As the crowd holds its breath, he faces his most significant choice yet. Uncertain of what lies ahead. The applause cascades around Leo like a warm wave, pulling him from his reverie. Among the gathering crowd, familiar faces, those from the shelter, shine with pride, their eyes sparkling under the dim streetlights. Leo takes a deep breath, the rhythm of his heart pounding in his ears like a metronome fueling his hope. He steps away from the piano, unsure of what to do next. The energy surging through the crowd is palpable, a mix of curiosity and admiration, feeding his desires tentatively awakened. But a shadow creeps in as he glances back toward his friends behind him. Would they still believe in him if he stepped beyond the alleys and shelters that have cradled them? Leo! You were amazing! Shouted Tara, one of the girls from the shelter, her voice a blend of excitement and disbelief. Did you see how people were listening to you? They were really feeling it. Her words hang in the air, buoying him but also carrying a weight. They have always fought together in the struggle of survival, sharing meals and worries. Could he now consider a future that might separate him from them? Thanks, Tara, Leo replies, forcing a smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes. But what if this was just a fluke? What if no one really cares tomorrow? As the crowd slowly disperses, a businesswoman approaches, her tailored suit and polished shoes a stark contrast to the ragged edges of Leo's existence. She has a kind smile, though, which melts away some of the apprehension. Young man, you have remarkable talent, she says, holding out her hand. I'm Miss Langley. I'd love to chat about your music. There's something special about your playing, I can feel it. Leo's heart races. This is at the moment he has been dreaming of. But what about Tara? What would happen to all his friends if he chased this dream? Miss Langley's eyes narrow with concern as she senses Leo's hesitation. You can't let fear hold you back. Sometimes the best things come from taking a leap of faith. As her words settle over him, Leo is struck by the realization that this might be a flicker of hope igniting within darkness. Could he really step into the light? All those hours in the community center, the lessons with Mr. Jenkins, each note played in anger, sadness, and joy, could they lead to something more? But just as he begins to contemplate, a sudden shout pierces the air. Leo! Come quick! It's Marco, a boy from the shelter, panic flashing in his eyes. The group had taken refuge in a nearby building from the storm, but now it's too quiet. Heart racing, Leo pats Miss Langley's hand in thanks and runs toward Marco, dread twisting in his stomach. When he reaches the makeshift home, it feels wrong. Shouts from others grow louder, their panic palpable. One of their own is missing. Juggling emotions, he pushes through the door, determined not to let another opportunity slip away. Yet, the sight before him awakens raw fear, a crowd of his friends scrambling, desperation etched on every face. Where's Tara? Leo gasps, his heart thundering. But before he can get a reply, something catches his eye, a flash of color in a dark corner, and its significance sends chills down his spine. Before he can act, doubt and responsibility collide. Can he truly run toward his dreams while his family is falling apart? With a rush, Leo turns, ready to confront the choice before him. Would he sacrifice his dreams for his family, or brave the storm ahead? The answers remain just out of reach, shrouded in uncertainty. Leo's heart beats like a drum in his chest as he scans the room, searching for Tara. Panic grips him, heavier than he anticipated. Voices swirl around him, some shouting her name, others crying in despair. He pushes through the throng, adrenaline propelling him forward. The familiar faces he once found comfort in now seem alien against the backdrop of fear. Marco! Where was she last? Leo calls out, his voice steadying in the chaos. By the window. Marco replies, pointing nervously. She was looking outside, then she just disappeared. Leo can feel the urgency pulling him like a magnet. He makes his way toward the flimsy curtain that separates the room from the bleak night. Each step is weighted, the fear of finding something he dreads gripping him tighter. As he reaches the window, he pushes aside the fabric, its rough edges scraping against his palm. Outside, the storm rages, rain lashing down like a curtain, obscuring the world beyond. But amidst the disarray, his gaze catches a sight, a flash of red, flailing against the wind. Tara! He screams, tearing toward the door. Moments stretch as he battles the elements. The rain stings his face, wind tugging at his clothes as he pushes outside. The streets are slick, reflecting the dim streetlights as he runs, heart thunderous, guided only by the flicker of color. Tara, hold on. He spots her at the far end, trying to navigate a path toward some scattered belongings. She's crouched low, peering into the shadows, searching for something. Relief surges within Leo, mingling with confusion. Why would she venture out here? Tara! He shouts again, breaking through the noise of the storm. She whips around, her face painted with surprise and fear. Leo! She cries, her voice barely rising above the sound of the rain. I thought I saw something important. The way her eyes widen pierces through his worry. His heart sinks as he reaches her, the storm fading a little under the weight of their moment. We can't be out here, it's too dangerous. Leo insists, grabbing her arm gently but firmly. Whatever it is, we can find it later. We need to get back. Tara shakes her head, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. No, Leo. It's not just anything. It's the music notes I lost. I can't just leave them. His heart aches at her determination. The notes, the remnants of their shared dreams, the music that brought them together. But he also feels the burden of responsibility settling heavy on his shoulders. Forget the notes, Tara. Please, I can't lose you too. The raw fear in his voice catches her off guard. She looks at him, really looks at him, and something in her expression shifts. Leo knows he is being selfish, but the thought of losing her, of losing his family, it's a pain he can't bear. He takes a deep breath, weighing the risks. Uncertainty lingers like the storm clouds above, heavy but unavoidable. Let us go together, he says finally. We'll find your notes tomorrow. I promise. With a hesitant nod, Tara takes Leo's hand. Together, they make a path back through the driving rain, the pull of their shared bond stronger than the tempest raging around them. As they reach the door, they glance back, and Leo feels the flicker of hope reignited within him. In moments of darkness, it's the ties that bind them, their determination, their love that can light the way out. But even as they step inside, the storm has shifted something within him. Would he be able to balance his dreams and the needs of those he loves? In that moment, Leo's heart aches not just from fear but from an unexpected resolution. Tomorrow would bring decisions he never foresaw. As he looks at Tara, he feels the weight of choices ahead, the delicate dance between hope and sacrifice threatening to pull him into chaos once more. Can dreams and family truly coexist, or would one always cast a shadow over the other? Leo and Tara step back into the dimly lit room, steam rising from the weathered wooden floorboards as they remove their drenched jackets. The atmosphere feels heavy and charged, and Leo's heart races not just from the frantic outside but from an inner turmoil that has begun to churn. He watches Tara shake her wet hair like a dog emerging from a bath, drops of rainwater speckling the ground. The tension in her brow softens, drifting into concern. Leo, are you okay? You seem different. He sighs, running a hand through his own damp hair. Yeah, just worried about everything. His words hang in the air, laden with unspoken fears. Before Tara can respond, Marco approaches, his face drawn and serious. Did you find her? He asks, relief flickering in his eyes at the sight of Tara. We did. Leo glances at Tara, who nods but remains quiet. His voice tightens. But she was looking for music notes. Important ones. Marco's eyebrows rise, a flicker of understanding crossing his expression. The ones from the storm? Tara jumps in, her voice suddenly fierce. They're not just any notes, Marco. They're a part of everything we've worked for, everything we wanted. Leo feels a wave of frustration wash over him. But at what cost? He interrupts. You could have been hurt. We could have. A sudden crack of thunder interrupts them, rattling the walls. The lights flicker, casting shadows that dance ominously across Marco's face. This storm feels like it's echoing the chaos inside of us, Tara whispers, her gaze shifting towards the window, where the rain continues to pour relentlessly. Leo steps closer, emotions swirling within him like the storm outside. "Tara, I want you to follow your dreams. I really do. But we have to figure this out together. I don't want us both to drown." His words hang between them, heavy with the weight of undeniable truth. Tara studies him, her expression softening as if she can see beyond fear to where hope resides. "If I'm going to do this," she finally says, "I need you in my corner. You're my family, Leo. You've always been." He nods, her words warming the edges of his anxiety. They may have weathered the storm outside, but together they need to find a way through the storm brewing inside. Suddenly, Marco speaks again. "What if we do something different? What if we organize a little jam session this Saturday? You could invite everyone, share your music, find those notes again, not alone but together." A spark ignites in Tara's eyes. A jam session could be amazing. Music brings all of us together. Leo knows it's a step, but a big one. But what if it fails? What if they don't show up? Then we play for each other. Tara's voice grows determined, soft yet catchy, drowning his doubt. We'll play for every note we lost. Just us. In that moment, Leo realizes what they need: a community. It could bridge the gap between dreams and reality, intertwining their lives and aspirations. If they can weave music into the fabric of their home, maybe they can finally have both family and aspirations without sacrificing one for the other. As the storm begins to calm, Leo looks at Tara and Marco, hope igniting in his chest like a candle in the dark. "Okay," he says softly. "Let us do it. Together." But as the hours pass and they start making plans, a shadow lurks in Leo's mind. What if the storm resumes? What if, amid the music and celebration, something threatens to divide them? The air is charged with unspoken questions, and as they prepare, Leo feels the tumult begin to swirl again, for a different kind of storm may be gathering on the horizon. Would their dreams unite them or tear them apart? The next day dawned gray and overcast, the kind of weather that seemed to linger, mirroring Leo's own sense of unease. Tara had already started spreading the word about the jam session, her excitement bubbling over as she reached out to friends and acquaintances. Yet, despite her enthusiasm, Leo felt that familiar knot tightening in his stomach. As Leo sat on the worn couch, strumming his guitar absent-mindedly, the door swung open and Marco stepped inside, a tinge of urgency in his stride. "I just got off the phone," he said, leaning against the door frame, "and I think we might have a problem." At the sound of those words, Leo's heart sank. "What kind of problem?" he asked, already fearing the worst. Marco glanced out at the rain-slicked street, then back at Leo, apprehension etched across his brow. "It's about the venue. The community center might cancel on us. Their roof is leaking, and they aren't sure if it's safe." "What?" Leo stood up, his voice escalating in alarm. "We can't let that happen. This jam session means everything to Tara and to us." "I know," Marco replied, a calming hand raised. "But we need to have a backup plan, something quick. No venue means no music." Leo's mind raced. "What about the old garage? Remember? It has space, and it's south close to the park." "Are you serious?" Marco's eyes gleamed with a mix of disbelief and hope. "That place hasn't been used in years. It's filled with junk and barely has electric." Tara, who had been in the kitchen gathering snacks for the session, popped her head through the doorway. "What are you guys talking about?" Leo quickly filled her in. Tara's face lit up at the idea of using the garage, her enthusiasm infectious. "We can clean it up. Make it our own. Just imagine the vibe. Our music, in our space." As the trio worked on a plan, they gathered up brooms and garbage bags, determination fueling them. They spent the day shoveling out old furniture, dusting away cobwebs, and clearing corners that had long been forgotten. The garage transformed before their eyes, slowly shedding its layers of neglect. Leo felt a flicker of hope ignite in his chest, the tightening knot he had felt loosening with every scrape and sweep. Just as they finished hanging up lights, Marco's phone buzzed with a message. He glared at the screen, his expression ominous. It's the community center. They're officially canceling and they're not rescheduling. The air shifted, and Leo suddenly felt a sense of panic clawing at him. So, we really are doing this in the garage? He asked, unsure. Tara stepped forward, her voice firm. Listen, this isn't about the venue. It's about us. Our music. If we can pull this off, it could shine even brighter than if we had the community center. But what if no one comes? Leo's insecurity loomed larger than before. What if we put our hearts into this and it all falls apart? Tara took a deep breath, standing her ground. Then we still play, Leo. For each other. We bring the music back to life together. There was something in her tone that lit the spark of confidence within him. The challenge ahead was daunting, but as they stood side by side in the garage, he felt the weight of family of support surge between them. As dusk settled in and the lights flickered to life for the first time, illuminating their makeshift stage, Leo caught a glimpse of Tara smiling, holding a guitar she hadn't touched before. Would this be the moment they not only faced their fears, but also transformed their little corner of the world? But as they tuned their guitars and tested the sound, a shadow flickered in the corner of Leo's eye. He shut his eyes, dismissing it. Yet, the feeling persisted, a nagging sense that not everything was right. Could they truly navigate this storm together, or was something lurking just out of sight, ready to sweep in and change everything once again? As the final lights were hung and the sound settled into a comforting hum, the air in the garage grew thick with anticipation. Leo leaned back against the patchy wall, sensing the vibrations of the night ahead. He couldn't ignore the thrill intertwined with fear. It pulsed through him like the rhythm of a song that wasn't quite complete. Tara plucked at her guitar strings, her face bright with determination. Let us give it a run-through. Just us, all right? Leo nodded, his heart racing as they fell into the familiar groove of their music. Notes danced off their instruments, blending into something alive and electric, wrapping the three of them in a bubble of sound. In that moment, the weight of the world outside faded, replaced by the joy of creation, but halfway through their jam, a loud crash echoed from the back of the garage. They paused, heads snapping towards the noise. The three exchanged nervous glances, a collective breath stuck in their throats. What was that? Marco whispered, as if speaking too loud would provoke whatever lurked in the shadows. Maybe we should check it out? Leo suggested, though his voice betrayed his uncertainty. The energy had shifted, and the once intimate music felt like a distant memory. Yeah, let us not just sit here, Tara said. She walked towards where the sound had come from, her guitar still hanging on her shoulder. Stumbling over an old toolbox on the floor, Leo followed close behind, trying to convince himself that it was probably nothing. They stepped into the deeper dark of the garage, where the flickering light didn't reach. Marco held his phone out as a makeshift flashlight, revealing stacks of old boxes and dusty furniture. As he shone the light towards the back, they caught sight of a figure crouched low, rummaging through the debris. Hey! Leo exclaimed. The figure turned, and for a brief second, the three stood frozen in shock. The boy was scruffy and thin, with dirty clothes that looked like they hadn't been washed in days. His wide eyes darted around, landing on each of them with trepidation. I'm just looking for some stuff. I swear. He stammered. What are you doing in here? Marco demanded, stepping forward to shield Tara and Leo. I didn't mean to scare you, the boy faltered. Please, I just need something to eat. The words tumbled out in a rush, and Leo felt his heart twist in response. As Tara glanced at Leo, he saw a flicker of compassion spark in her eyes. We're not in a position to feed you, she said softly, but we're having a session, and you're welcome to listen. It will be amazing, I promise. The boy's gaze softened, revealing a mixture of hope and desperation. Song? You're gonna play music? Yeah, Leo replied, the knot in his stomach loosening. Music that'll fill this place with life again. The boy shifted, glancing back at the exit. I don't know. I don't want to be in the way. You can't be in the way if you're part of it, Tara interjected, stepping closer. Come on in, just sit and listen. We could use some new energy. As the boy hesitated, the light in their makeshift stage flickered brighter, framing their small group like a spotlight. Leo felt an unfamiliar emotion swelling up inside him. This moment was about more than just a garage session, it was a chance to bridge worlds. For the rest of the night, the trio turned the garage into something extraordinary, a refuge filled with laughter, beats, and even the soft singing of the boy, who found courage in their trust. But beneath the notes, Leo couldn't shake the feeling that they had just invited an even bigger storm into their lives. What had they unleashed by opening their doors? And as the last note lingered in the air, Leo caught a glimpse of the boy's face lighting up, filled with joy he hadn't seen in a long time. Was it just the music that held that power, or was it something more profound? Leo could only wonder as night's shadows deepened once again, waiting to see what tomorrow might bring. Would this unexpected guest change everything for them, or would they find themselves caught in currents they weren't ready for? The next morning, the sun broke through the dusty garage windows, spilling light across the cluttered floor. Leo blinked against the brightness, the warmth nudging him awake. Last night's jam replayed in his mind like a favorite song on repeat. The boy Josh had brought a spark to their session that they never expected. As Leo pushed himself up from where he'd collapsed on an old couch, he caught sight of Tara and Marco whispering animatedly in the corner. They looked up, and he could see their faces still aglow with excitement, lingering remnants of last night's music hanging in the air. Can you believe it? Marco grinned, his eyes wide. That kid was something else. I mean, did you hear him sing? Yeah, he was incredible, Tara added, her tone a mix of wonder and disbelief. I never thought someone like him would fit so perfectly into our sound. Leo felt a rush of warmth. They had shared something special, a connection that defied boundaries. But there was also a nagging worry tugging at him. Josh was out there, alone and vulnerable. What do you think we should do about him? Leo asked, his voice lowering as though they were discussing a dangerous secret. I think we need to find him again, Tara responded, her gaze fixed on the shadows that lingered in the corners of the garage. He made the music come alive. Agreed, Marco said, his excitement palpable. But how? We don't even know if he'll show up again. Leo stood, a heavy thought settling in his chest. Maybe we could set up a sign or something. Let him know he's welcome back anytime. But even as he spoke, the anxiety twisted inside him. What would they really do if they found Josh again? Did they truly want to invite him into their world, with all its messiness and struggles? Despite his apprehensions, Leo grabbed a roll of duct tape from a nearby toolbox. Let's hang a sign outside, something warm. Music and good vibes, all welcome. Or something like that, he suggested. Tara nodded, enthusiasm flashing in her eyes. Together, they crafted a sign. As they worked, the garage began to fill with laughter and playful teasing. Each letter they painted sparked an idea, turning the intimidating unknown into an open invitation. As the evening crept back in, the atmosphere shifted. The trio set up the garage once again, instruments at the ready, hope hanging thick in the air. But Leo's heart thumped wildly, caught between exhilaration and dread. An hour passed, then two, and Leo's mind raced with scenarios that could happen when their unexpected guest returned. What if he didn't want to come back? What if he really didn't connect with them like they thought? His fingers, once steady on the guitar, now twitched nervously. But just as doubt threatened to crush everything they built, the silhouette of a child appeared at the entrance of the garage. Leo's heart skipped, a rush of relief and excitement flooding through him. Josh stood there, uncertain but drawn by the music wafting out into the evening. "Hey!" Tara called, her voice carrying a friendliness that cut through the tension. "We saved you a spot." Josh hesitated, taking a step back, but then he glanced over at Leo, a flicker of familiarity sparking in his eyes. There was something undeniably hopeful in the way he shifted his weight from one foot to the other, a small sign that he might just cross the threshold. "Come on," Marco urged. "We won T-bite." And as the boy took a step closer, Leo's pulse raced. They were poised at the brink of something that felt colossal. But as Josh moved toward them, Leo wondered, could they really be the change in his life? What if this moment led to something they weren't prepared for? What if everything they had built was about to be tested in ways they couldn't yet imagine? And as the first note rang out, he held his breath, acutely aware that the real journey was just beginning. Would Josh discover a new family in them, or would the walls they built come crashing down around them all? Josh hesitated for just a second longer, eyes darting between the three hopeful faces in front of him and the familiar sounds of music swirling in the air. Then, something shifted. He stepped inside the garage, his movements cautious yet deliberate, as if he was testing the waters. The warm glow of the dim light filled the space around him, creating a tiny bubble of safety away from whatever uncertainties waited outside. "Hey, welcome back," Leo greeted, his voice encouraging but laced with his own nervous energy. They created this bubble together, but it was still fragile. Tara beamed at him, the corners of her lips lifting more than they had all day, and Marco jumped to grab his guitar, strumming a few playful chords to lighten the atmosphere. They were ready, but was Josh? "How did you find us?" Josh asked, tilting his head slightly, the hint of a smile breaking through his uncertainty. Leo stepped forward, excitement bubbling within him. "We put up a sign. We wanted you to know that you're welcome here anytime." There was a flicker of something in Josh's eyes, a mix of surprise and gratitude. "Really?" "Of course," Tara chimed in. "You brought something amazing to our music. We can't just let that go." Josh glanced at the instruments, and Leo noticed a hint of longing in his expression. This was more than just curiosity, it was desire and unquenchable thirst to create. It reminded Leo of himself when he first discovered his love for music. The urge to be part of something bigger, something real. "Do you play?" Marco asked, his voice casual but loaded with genuine curiosity. Josh paused, the question seemingly heavy on his shoulders. "A little," he finally admitted, looking down. "But I don't have a piano." "Then let us make some music with what we have," Tara encouraged, clapping her hands together. The enthusiasm in her voice lifted the mood as the tension began to dissipate. "Yeah, let us jam," Marco added, leaning forward, eager to include him. The three friends exchanged knowing glances, understanding that this wasn't just about playing notes. It was about pulling someone into their circle, a hopeful gesture that could change everything. "Come on, I'll show you my favorite song," Leo said, making his way to the keyboard at the back of the garage, setting the stage for what could be a transformative moment. As he settled onto the stool, his fingers hovered over the keys. Josh stayed in place, nervous, unsure. The weight of his past perhaps held him back. Leo felt a wave of impatience mixed with compassion. "You know," he said, "I used to feel scared to play in front of others too. But once you let go, just let it flow, it all falls into place." With that, Leo pressed a key, and a soft, melodious sound sliced through the air. Tara and Marco joined in, turning the atmosphere electric. Josh watched in awe. The apprehension slowly changed into something he hadn't felt for a long while: hope. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward. With shaky hands, he reached for the keys, feeling their coolness under his fingertips. It was a simple starting note, but it resonated with a profound commitment. When he began to play, the notes flowed like a river, natural and unhindered. Each chord built a bridge, connecting the four of them in a way that was both thrilling and comforting. Josh played with a raw energy that captured their attention. It was as if they were witnessing not just a performance, but a reawakening. Yet, as the music swelled and filled the garage, Leo couldn't shake a nagging fear. Could their fragile bond withstand what lay ahead? What if Josh's past came crawling back, threatening to pull him away from this newfound family? With every note Josh played, the worry lingered just beyond the flow of melody. Would they truly be strong enough to hold him close when darkness threatened to creep back in? As the last chord hung in the air, silence flooded the garage. They all exchanged glances filled with unspoken promises and anticipated challenges. But amidst it all, Leo felt a spark of something powerful, a belief that they were ready to face whatever came next. The real test was on the horizon, and each beat of the music seemed to echo that truth. Together, they were stronger. Josh took a breath, looking at each one of them, the fear in his eyes softening. "Can we do that again?" he asked, a small smile breaking free. Somewhere deep inside, Leo knew this was just the beginning. The real journey wasn't about music alone, it was about trust, healing, and redefining family. But what lay underneath that musical surface? What secrets were waiting to emerge, ready to shake the foundation they were just starting to build? As they launched into the song again, a newfound energy intertwined with the music, filling the garage with an electric buzz. Josh's fingers danced over the keys, the simple melody now transformed into a vibrant celebration of trust and belonging. With each note he struck, he felt the weight of his past lift ever so slightly, like a balloon set free into a bright sky. Leo watched closely, a smile tugging at his lips. He had always believed in the power of music to heal, but seeing Josh shine was something altogether different. It was as if the light they were creating together pushed back the shadows that loomed in his mind. Tara and Marco exchanged glances, each of them catching the joy radiating from their new friend. As they moved into the chorus, Leo braced himself and built his confidence. He joined Josh, harmonizing with him, letting their voices blend just as their hearts seemed to. For that moment, it was just them, the frayed edges of their lives intertwined through sound. Each chord became a promise of support, a beacon inviting hope. But soon, it wasn't just the music that filled the air. In those golden moments of creation, the past whispered. Fleeting memories of Josh's life outside this safe haven slipped through his mind like ghostly smoke. Before the magic of the sound and the warmth of companionship had fully tightened its grip on him, the anguish of loneliness and fear crept back in an unwelcome guest. The song ended, and the silence felt different this time, thicker with unspoken doubts. Josh's fingers lingered over the keys, hesitating. The pride in his eyes began to dim slightly, a reflection of the cloud now forming in his thoughts. "You really are amazing," Marco said, breaking the quiet. His voice was sincere, wrapped with admiration. "I never knew you could play like that." "Yeah," Tara added, her enthusiasm still infectious. "You're a natural, Josh. Seriously, we need you in our band." Josh smiled weakly, but something in his gaze shifted. He nodded, but there was a flicker of uncertainty there, an acknowledgement of the fear whispering in his ear. The ghost of doubt that had been lurking grew louder, reminding him that every moment of joy often came with a cost. "Thanks," Josh managed, his voice barely above a whisper. "But what if I can't keep this up? What if I mess it all up?" Leo felt his heart ache for him. He remembered those early days of doubt when he first ventured into uncharted waters. "Hey," he soothed, stepping closer, his intention clear. "You won't mess this up. We're in this together. And if you fall, we'll be here to catch you. That's what friends do." Josh's brow furrowed, a mix of appreciation and fear. He looked at Leo, searching for assurance. Would they truly be there for him when things got tough? The battle inside him felt insurmountable. "Yeah," Marco chimed in. "It's like when we're jamming. If one of us stumbles, we just pick each other up and keep going." He grinned, gesturing to the instruments around them. "We all have our own strengths. Yours just happens to be a bit louder." Laughter erupted among them, but Josh felt the weight of that laughter, half genuine, half a desperate attempt to lighten the mood. Yet, somewhere within that laughter, a sliver of hope remained. Maybe it was possible to bask in the joy of this moment without letting the fear carve it away. For the first time, Josh allowed himself to imagine a future where he belonged. The lingering question remained, though, could he truly trust these new friendships, or would the harshness of his reality pull him back? Silent moments passed, and as they shared a collective breath, the garage felt charged, alive with possibilities. Each of them was aware something monumental was unfurling. Would they be able to navigate the coming storm together? Tara leaned back against the wall, watching Josh with an intensity that rang in the air. "What are you most scared of, Josh?" It was an innocent question, yet everyone felt the weight of it. Each heartbeat echoed through the garage as they waited for his reply. Could he share the truth of his fears? For Josh, it was a pivotal moment. What would he choose to reveal, and what would stay buried beneath the music? The air grew thick with anticipation, each second stretching as time hung like a suspended note, waiting to resolve. As Josh opened his mouth to answer, the sanctuary of music felt suddenly fragile, as if the ground below could shift at any moment. What was he about to uncover, and would it change everything once again? Josh took a deep breath, the tension in the garage palpable. The silence enveloped him like a familiar blanket, both comforting and constraining. He gauged the sincerity in their eyes and felt the weight of all that had led him here, standing before them, this mismatched family formed through music and shared struggles. "I guess I'm afraid of screwing up," he admitted, his voice almost a whisper. The way his throat tightened echoed a deep-seated vulnerability, laid bare before them. He glanced down at the keys, the ones that had provided him refuge for a brief period. "I've messed up so many things before, and what if I do it again?" Leo's heart sank but quickly surged back with a warmth that seeped encouragement into the air. "Hey," he said softly, "we all screw up. I mean, remember the first time I played in front of anyone? I messed up so badly, even forgot some of the notes." The room cracked with a gentle laughter, easing the weight of Josh's confessions. "Yeah, the way you turned beet red." Marco chimed in, drawing more smiles and nudging the air back into the comfort of camaraderie. "And look at you now. You're killing it." Josh cracked a small smile, the kind of smile that almost lit up the shadows lingering in his heart. "But those mistakes don't just disappear, you know?" He felt the knot tighten again, wrestling his insecurities and failures. But as soon as the words left his lips, he felt a slight push from within himself, a whisper stirring at the edges of his thoughts. "They don't," Tara said, her voice smooth yet firm, "but they shape us. Look how far we've all come." She gestured to the mess around them and the unfinished music still reverberating off the walls. "This is all part of the journey." Josh met her gaze, finding depth and reassurance in her eyes, a warmth that spread through his chest. These words were like a balm for his anxieties, something new and fresh, different from the fear buried in his past. "What if we fail together?" he asked, this time louder, more confident, testing the strength he felt growing steadily within. "What if no one comes to the next jam session? What if we're just no good?" "There's always a what if," Leo countered passionately, stepping closer, heart thundering. "But the important part is that we won't be alone. Music has brought us together, hasn't it? And whatever comes next, we'll be in this together." The enormity of Leo's words hung between them like a beacon of light, sending ripples of courage spiraling through Josh. He began to see beyond his fears, the cracks of uncertainty filling with a deeper understanding, a realization that their journey together was more than just about the music, it was about connection, and before he could overthink it, Josh felt himself nodding. "What if we really play for each other, then?" he proposed, heart racing. There was a newfound resolve, a spark of hope igniting deep within. "What if we played for every note, every mistake, for all the dreams we've chased and lost? Together, as one." "Yes!" Tara exclaimed, her face lighting up with excitement, a contagious energy that brightened the air. "That's how we'll do it. Let us pour our fears into the music, show everyone that it's okay to stumble and rise again. Yes. It's about celebration. Marco added, clapping his hands together as if trying to ignite a spark from the atmosphere. In that instant, they were no longer just individuals bound by circumstance, but a tight-knit crew ready to embrace whatever storm awaited them. As plans for the upcoming jam session began to take shape, the energy in the garage shifted once again. Everyone was eager, anticipation buzzing with every word spoken, the vibrant air weaving them closer than ever, each one finding solace in the shared commitment to play, grow, and embrace their journey, mistakes included. But then, just as they started to string their ideas together, a loud knock disrupted the rhythm. The sound was sharp and hollow, breaking the bubble they had created. Eyes darted to the entrance, the air thickening with uncertainty. Who could that be? Tara whispered, her eyes widening. Leo felt a surge of apprehension. What if it's someone looking for trouble? He murmured, instinctively readying himself, caught off guard by the shifting emotions in the room. Marco stepped hesitantly toward the door, fear flickering in his eyes. I'll check it out. He cautiously approached, heart pounding, raising his hand to the door. But just as he reached for the handle, the door swung open, revealing not danger but an unexpected sight. A group of faces stood there, familiar yet wrapped in uncertainty, friends from the shelter and community, drawn by the whispers of music now beginning to float through the streets. Are you guys having a jam session? One voice piped up, eyes widening with excitement. Tara, Leo, and Josh exchanged amazed glances, their spirits lifting. We are. Tara replied, stepping forward, pure delight shining through. You're all welcome. Come in. Josh stood back, holding his breath, watching the scene unfold. This was it. This moment could either cement his fears or pave the way for a new beginning. Would he truly be able to share everything, his music, his heart, his journey with those he'd come to love? Was he ready to step into the light and embrace the unknown? And just like that, they came rushing inside, friends, music, laughter, and hope all swirling into a joyous mix that echoed throughout the garage. In that moment, Josh felt something shift profoundly deep inside. We are here to celebrate, he thought, the rhythm of shared dreams pounding against his chest. Together, we'll face whatever comes next. As music filled the air once again, a powerful harmony surged through each of them. This was the moment, a beautiful climax in a journey marked by hurdles, acceptance, and unwavering belief. Leo, Tara, Marco, and now Josh stood united, ready to embrace the future, their hearts entwined in a timeless melody of friendship, resilience, and endless possibilities. And deep down, Josh understood, this was his forever family, and nothing could bring down the strength they now shared. As the final notes of their impromptu song rang out, laughter flowed like a river, carrying with it a fresh wave of hope and joy. Their music wasn't merely a collection of sounds, it was the very pulse of their lives, messy, imperfect, yet utterly beautiful. Tomorrow would bring its storms, pressures, and challenges, but today they had each other. And somehow, in that grand mix, a little boy in need, a handful of dreamers, and music, they created an extraordinary family that stood ready to face it all, together.